Hi, this is Michael Rubin, and we've been talking about the C major scale on the C diatonic harmonica, or the first position major scale on any harmonica. So now it's time to jam. Well, how do you jam using a scale? Well, first off, you got to have somebody to jam with, at least a recording. So when you meet a rhythm player like a guitarist or a rhythm mandolinist, which is what I play, the first thing they're going to ask you is, what key do you want to play in? Well, I've got a C harmonica. I know how to play the C major scale. Let's play in the key of C major. So he's got to find a progression that's going to sound good in the key of C major. So let's define progression. When you're listening to a song, almost anybody can tell there's a story going on. And there's a first chapter to the story and a second chapter to the story. Well, if you listen to the rhythm players, the guys who are playing chords, you'll hear the chords are going higher and lower, and they stay in a certain order. And in the second part of the story, the second chapter, it's the same order. Even the singer tends to be singing the same melody, going up and down the same way. What really is telling you we're in the second part of the story is the lyrics have changed. So what the rhythm players are doing through one part of the story, one chapter, is one time through the progression. So a progression has three things that matters, and we're going to talk about the first thing today. What chords are there? So a chord is three or more notes that it's played at the same time that sounds good together. So some songs like ZZ Top's Lagrange have one chord. How, bump, 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 and now we're on chord A. We never change from A. The whole song's on chord A. Actually, when they go to the guitar solo, they switch to the C chord, and they stay on that for the whole guitar solo, and then they go back to the A chord for the vocals. So, some songs, like jazz songs, they got a million chords, because they're trying to show you the beauty of chords, or how much smarter they are than you that they know about all these chords. But most pop songs, and by pop I mean any music that sells, anything besides jazz and classical, blues, punk, folk, rock, reggae, country, they have three chords. Almost every song has three chords, and they are the same three chords. If you were going to play a song in the key of C, the chords would be C, F, and G. C, F, G, ba la 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 bum ba. Rolling in my sweet baby C. Rolling in my sweet baby's G. Gonna see round the track till the F train comes back. Gonna see, gonna G, gonna see. So those were two songs that used C, F, and G, but they sounded completely different. So obviously there is more than just what chords there are that matter in a progression, and we're going to get to the other two things later. But today we're going to continue to focus on chords. So, what if you weren't in the key of C? What if you were in the key of C sharp? What would the chords be? Well, in C they were C, F, and G. In C sharp, they're going to be C sharp, F sharp, G sharp. Now, why would you have different keys? If the song sounds basically the same, what's the difference? The difference is how low and high it is. So, like some vocalists, every vocalist has a range, how low to how high they can sing. And some vocalists have a very limited range. So you may call out a song in the key of A and that vocalist sounds horrible. And you call out the same song in the key of G and they sound great. Okay? So a lot of it has to do with range of notes that's appropriate for the singer. So and there's other reasons too. Like if you're a guitarist and you're leading the song, you might choose the key of E because the guitar sounds good or is easy to play in the key of E. If I were a mandolin player, I might choose the key of G or D because it's easy to play. If I were the saxophone player, I would choose the key of B flat. It depends on what's easy for the leader's instrument. So, but you can play any song in any key. How does it work? Well, in the key of C, we started on the note C, the chord C, but in the key of C sharp we started on the chord C sharp. Well, on the keyboard, here's C and here's C sharp. C sharp is one note higher than C. Then the F chord in C became F sharp in the key of C sharp, one note higher. So all the chords were one note higher. So what's going on? The distances between the C chord and the F chord, or the C sharp chord and the F sharp chord, are the same. And when I say distances, I mean the amount of half steps or keyboard notes in between them. So let's say you started on C, and C we're going to count as 0. Then we tried to count up to F, the second chord. C sharp is 1, D is 2, D sharp 3, E is 4, F is 5. So from the first chord in the song to the second chord, C to F, or C sharp to F sharp, it's 5 half steps. Then how far is it from C to G? Well, we know that C to F is 5 notes. So F sharp is 6 notes, and G is 7 notes. So from C to G, it's 7 notes. So from C sharp to G sharp, it is also 7 notes. So what that means is for almost all songs, they are using chords that have root notes being the note that has the same name as the chord you're in. So if you're in the chord C, C is the root note. The root notes of the chords are 5 notes apart, or 5 half steps, and 7 half steps apart. So from C to F, 5 half steps. C to G, 7 half steps. So let's say we were in the key of G. G would be 0, up 5, G sharp, A sharp, B, C. C would be the next chord, up 7, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, G, C, and D. Let's do La Bamba in the key of G using the chords G, C, and D. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Okay? So, there is a slightly easier way to do it, but that is the real math. Let's look at the easy way. Let's say we're in the key of C, and ultimately we're trying to find the chords C, F, and G. Well, let's look at the C major scale. We're in the key of C, we're going to the C major scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. What is the first note in the C major scale? C. And that is the root of the main chord we're using. The C chord, the C note, it's the first note in the scale. So, knowing that the chords we're ultimately going to find are C, F, and G, excuse me, wow, C, F, and G, if C is the first note in the C major scale and D is the second note, what number values are C, F, and G? Well, C is the first note, C, D, E, F is the fourth note, and G is the fifth note. So you will often hear these chords referred to as the 1, 4, and 5 chords. And this is why. Whatever key you're in, go to the major scale that has the same name as that key. Find the first note, the fourth note, and the fifth note. For example, in the key of C, C, F, and G. In the key of G, G, C, and D. Those are the root notes, or the names, of the 3 most likely chords that you're going to use in any song. 1, 4, and 5 chords. Now there's another way to find the 1, 4, and 5 chords using the circle of fifths. In the circle of fifths, if you put your finger on the name of the key, for example, if you're in the key of C, put your finger on C, move counterclockwise, F, there's the 4 chord. Put your finger back on C, move clockwise, G, there's the 5 chord. So for another example, key of A is the 1 chord, move counterclockwise, D is the 4 chord, back to A, clockwise, E is the 5 chord. Okay, so I will see you soon. Thanks very much. Pretty good. Stop.